Welcome to TigerComp as we look at Excel 4. This video is going to be part 1 of 2 videos that goes through Excel 4. With our shorter week, we're just going to break it into 2 small sections, and hopefully you can understand these different concepts that we're going to be looking at, and you'll remember them, as after this lesson will come the big review test on Excel 1 through 4. So make sure you understand everything we've done so far. Don't be afraid to ask questions in class. But let's go ahead and start the 4th tutorial. So step 1 in this tutorial is to add another column. We already have total points, we have grade, but grades, as you know, are based off of percentages. So we want to insert a percentage column in here. So I'm going to go to H and go up to insert, and I'm going to insert a column. And the nice part is you can see all the formatting stuff comes right with it. And then I'm going to write in the percentage symbol. I'm going to make sure that box gets centered just to make it look a little nicer overall. Don't forget to bold that to match. I don't think it did it. There it goes. All right. Now, when it comes to percentage, we could type in this all by ourselves, but that would really kind of minimize the ability of what Excel can do for us. And so we want an equation to figure out how to find the percentage. Now, when it comes to percentage, it's really about understanding what to do to find that percentage. Hopefully you have a pretty decent idea of this. It's really the number correct over the number possible. And we already have those numbers, right? We have the number correct in each of these, and then here we have the number points possible right here. And so if we were to go into H3, we could write equal, because we're going to create this formula, and we want to enter in B3 divided by G10. And so we have, oops, that's not what I want. Not G10, I want B10. All right, so we have that idea. Now that would find the percentage there. Let's find the total percentage for their grade. All right, we are going to go with G3 and G10. G3 divided by G10. Now when I press enter, you notice that I get this wonderful decimal number, and that is definitely not a percentage. So we must have something wrong here. And if you think hard about it, right, to find a percentage, it is that fraction to start with, but then we got to multiply by 100. And so just like that, we have that really nice idea, that phrase to work with. And you can go back in and adjust it so that we're only going to 1 decimal point or 2 to make sure that it's consistent. We don't need all those extra ones rolling by. All right, next major step would be is we probably want to copy this down so we don't have to do this lots and lots of different times. And suddenly we get this wonderfully odd symbol, and it's basically telling us something does not work. We're dividing by 0. How can that possibly be? We have this wonderful equation. It worked first time. Why is it not working now? It might look like this. It might look like just a bunch of number symbols all the way across the box, depending on which version of Excel you're using. But in general, it's telling us we did something wrong, right? There may be a small chance that our cell is too narrow, but in this case, it's not that. So let's look and see what they mean by the fact that we're dividing by 0. If I look here, I go to G4. Okay, this is G4 right here. That's the total points that I want, divided by G11, which if you look real carefully is way down here, and there's nothing in that box. So as we reflect back on our formula, we have really the key idea of this part 1. When it comes to copying formulas, and we just drag it down like this, you can see that the G3 changes to G4 and the G10 changes to G11, and that pattern continues on. And what we call that is known as relative copy. And it can really serve us in a good way, just like um, it did as we moved across horizontally and moved down vertically. Those numbers we wanted to change in those formulas so that they would work well. However, in this formula, we need it to stay the total points. It needs to stay, sorry, total points was G10. We can't let it go to G11 or to G12 or to G13. Instead, we need to change our formula that we're copying to make sure that this G10 always stays the same. And as tricky as that sounds, it's actually quite easy. It's all about the money. I put a money sign, the dollar sign in front of G, and since I have $1 sign in front of G, now I have put in this command that says that the G will never change. Why the dollar sign? No idea. Whoever created Excel thought that would be a good one. But that's the key thing to remember, that dollar sign. Now, with just that dollar sign there, I can take this away, and you notice that things have not changed. Everything is still moving from next one, next one, next one. And first thing we got to actually do to make sure we're copying the correct formula is go back to our top one and re-drag these back down. So now we see that that dollar sign is changing, but the numbers are still changing. It's still going G14, G15, G16, and so on. So when we go back to our original equation, not only do we have to put that dollar sign in front of the G, but we also need to put that dollar sign in front of the 10. So that's going to lock in place the G, and then it's going to lock in place the 10. And we call this an absolute copy because we don't want these values to change at all. So once we've done that, then we're going to come here and we're going to redrag our formula, recopy our formula, and finally, once it all drags out, now we suddenly have a wonderful set of percentages that we could use to turn into grades. All right, then to finish up part one of this, you do got to go and make a couple changes. Obviously, we got a little bit of an error right here when it comes to how our table looks. So you got to go back and change some of the formatting there to make it match everything else. So that's a quick fix there. And then if you have the paper in front of you, you see a grading scale just like this. And so you're going to start in K2 and L2, and you're going to create this grading scale, make it match exactly like it does on the paper or as you're seeing it on the screen, and have this ready to go for next time so that next time we can really focus on a really cool idea in Excel, which is known as VLOOKUP, which becomes a really neat way that Excel can pull data from different areas, especially if your data isn't centrally located in one table like what we're going to have in a minute once you build this second table. All right. In part two, then we'll cover this idea of VLOOKUP and what we're going to do with that chart. All right. Until next time, that's part one of Excel 4.